Good day, ma'am. This is Lady May Patac, a BSHM 2A student, and for today, I am going to tackle about the organization of personnel. The most complicated problems of business is people technical processes may be mastered. Requirements of materials may be correctly figure plans and office may be built accordingly to required specifications and indicate machines may be devised to perform with accuracy, but if the human elements in the business are disregarded, trouble is ahead. Human beings essentially differ from each other. They cannot be standardized like inanimate things. They are dynamic, not static. The most certain thing about people is their uncertainty. Human beings are also to a certain extent selfish, both by nature and by environment. A who is an altruist is one who has regard for and is devoted to the interests of others than himself alone. Altruism is desirable trait to be aspired for what is generally hard to find among people in its ideal form. There are some people who seem to lack even a trace of altruism is their more make-up. Still others believe that there is such thing as enlightened Christian self-interest which may be made to benefit everybody through cooperation. Thus, self-interest and the welfare of others do not have to conflict with each other, both can be achieved or satisfied at the same time. The basic personal problem. The basic problem about personnel is that the employer has work to be done. The employee wants to receive for his work enough money to live according to the standard of living as established for himself. When the employer has to pay too much to get the work done, the increased cost will be reflected in the higher price of the finished product to the point of diminishing orders from customers. On the other hand, if the employee cannot get the money that he thinks he is worth, he will leave the job or look for another job elsewhere. Increasing the efficiency of the worker. The desire of the employer to bring down his cost of production and the desire of the employee to have an adequate returns from his efforts are two economic objectives acting opposite each other and which must have to be reconciled. Both objectives may be attained by increasing the efficiency of the workers. This simply means making it possible for an employee to accomplish more work with less effort and less time. The personnel function is involved with the relationship of management to employees and of employees among themselves in all matters except the actual productive processes themselves. The direction and control of all human resources is called manpower management. It includes not only personnel organization and administration, but the handling of the line employees, be their line supervisor. Industry relation is a term gaining wider acceptance in present day business organization and highlights the growing importance of labor management relationship as a factor to be reckoned within business. Whatever name is given to the personnel function, the objectives remain the same to obtain capable employees to utilize their effort effectively and to maintain a willingness to work to achieve the purpose of the organization. In successful personnel organization and administration, There are six main factors involved, namely analysis of the job, selection and testing of applicants, induction training, supervision and personal action in the work process, providing together with wage administration, and cooperation between the labor and management. Analysis of the job. The term job analysis have long had to recognize meanings with corresponding objectives. The first is that analysis of the job applies to the more or less superficial study of each job or work satisfactorily. The resulting information is summarized in a job specification, which is used in selecting applicants for employment. The objective is to make it possible for the interviewer to match more intelligently the applicant's qualification with the requirements of the job. The second is that job analysis means the improvements of the methods of doing the work. This is more of dissecting the work rather than describing. In this kind of analysis, the first step is to determine whether the work is really necessary. If the work can be eliminated, therefore, no more time is needed to spend on it. Elimination of unnecessary work is considered the first technical step in any improvement program. If the work is found to be necessary, the next step is to examine everything connected with the job, starting with the purpose of the work, with the materials and equipment used, the condition under which the work is done after using motion analysis as a background. As a result of the above described detailed survey, several facts may be revealed. 1. The light may be inadequate or may come from the wrong direction. 2. The machine may be in poor condition or may be obsolete. 3. The material may not come in proper shape to work on. 4. The tools may be dull, not appropriate, or even lacking. 5. The worker may make many unnecessary motions which not only spend time on profitably but likewise tire him quickly. 6. The work may not be arranged to the best advantage. Time study. The purpose of time study, as distinguished from motion analysis, is to determine the time required to perform each element in the operation, each operation in the job, and the job itself. There are two reasons for time study. The first is to provide a basis for comparing performance of the same job and to establish a standard time for doing the work. An important consideration in this regard are the variation as to time and as to the causes. One thing to remember is that any variation from the standard operation must be eliminated or minimized, provided, of course, that conditions are standardized. The second is to make possible the payment of workers on a production basis or on the basis of outputs. For instance, if a worker is paid 1 peso an hour per stated output, with a bonus for each additional accomplishment per hour, he is being paid for what he actually does, not simply for a stated amount of time put in time. These conditions provides a strong incentive to effective work, provided that the rates are set fairly to begin with and provided further that once the rate is set, it will not be changed for any reason except a change in method. Selection and testing of applicants. The selection of the person's best fit to the work involves finding the resources of desirable applicants, followed by interviewing, testing, and choosing from those available the ones who most nearly have the required qualification. Sources of applicants. The science and art of employment and recruiting is not a highly developed in the Philippines as in industrialized countries. The fact that almost 10% of the labor force is unemployed or seriously underemployed result in abundance or oversupply of laborers, clerks, and certain types of personnel like lawyers. There is, however, a serious shortage of management, personnel supervisors, and previous types of skills workmen. Selection procedure. This involves a sequence of functions adapted in a given case for the purpose of ascertaining whether or not candidates possess the qualifications called by a specific job. In some cases, qualification of a progression of job are considered when promotional possibilities are of importance. This hiring position cannot be effectively placed in operation until three major steps have been taken. 1. Requirements of the job to be filled have been specified. 2. Qualifications worker must possess have been specified. 3. Candidates for screening have been recruited. After the foregoing steps have been taken, it is then the purpose of selection to match the qualification of candidates with the requirements of the job. Undesirable candidates are not screened out and the qualified retained. Selection. The selection of promising candidates from a group of applicants is not easy. Certain facts of feature such as age, schooling, and previous employment are readily ascertained and checked. On the other hand, the intangibles are the ones that make the choice difficult. Testing ability and aptitude. In addition to the factor considered in judging the application, it is desirable to find two other things. 1. Whether the applicant has disease or tendency to disease which might spread among other employees or which may interfere in his work sooner or later. This is done through a medical examination. 2. The applicant's present level of knowledge, ability, and intelligence with respect to the work contemplated. This is done through test. To what extent personnel administration has come up with tests which look into the second requirement. These tests are intelligence tests, aptitude tests, vocational interest tests, proficiency tests, and personality tests. Intelligence tests are useful but have a tendency to be overrated. The minimum score required of persons who, according to the other factors, have a reasonable chance of success is more important than a score of a genius. A very high IQ or intelligence quotient with temperamental defect would be more of a liability than an asset. Aptitude test is important where no occupational ability is expected at the outset. Such ability will be accurate through training and experience on the job. Proficiency test, on the other hand, is to determine whether or not the applicant possesses the specific capacity, ability, and skills required in the job for which he is being concerned, and so to that extent the applicant possesses them. Induction and training. Induction is the procedure set for introducing new employees and orienting him in the company as a whole. Its importance cannot be overemphasized that the happiness of the new employee and the effectiveness of his work depends upon the thoroughness with which induction is carried, as for instance, in the new employees getting a good start. The stage of induction should take into account two major aspects: accounting the new employee with his new surroundings and its rule and regulation, and indoctrinating him in the philosophy of the company and its reason for existence. More companies build their programs around the first of these aspects than the second. Nevertheless, an appreciation for the importance of indoctrination is growing. Purpose of induction. One of the purposes of induction is to give the new employees information about the company and the requirements of and facilities provided for the employees. Such information includes working hours, rate of pay, pay days, absence and tardiness, requirements, vacations, special facilities, and the like. The primary purpose of a transfer or promotion is to increase the effectiveness of the organization in attaining its service and profit objectives. When an employee is placed in a position in which he can be most productive, chances for successful result of the organization for which he works are consequently increased. It should be the aim, therefore, of any company to change position of employees as soon as their capacity increase and vacancies warrant. Transfer may be classified into those for the inconvenience of the employee and those for the convenience of the company. Transfer for employee convenience may be due to family problems, increased or decreased capacity of employees, personal preference, desires, and other personal reasons. Those for company convenience may be due to shortage of certain men or certain skills in a department, the desire of management to increase versatility of employees, the need to balance production, and the belief that such transfers would enable maximum use of special abilities. Disciplinary action. This term refers to that phase of management's work which has to do when the employee is alleged to be at fault. Since it has the implication of penalties, and since dealing out penalty is full of dangerous possibilities, management must be fully aware of when, how, to whom, and why the disciplinary action should be taken. Although it is not always possible or practical to follow a set routine in taking disciplinary action, nevertheless, there are certain steps or stages to which attention must be directed at a time or another. This step includes the following: 1. Accurate statements of the disciplinary problem. 2. Collection of full information on the case. 3. Selection of tentative penalties to be applied. 4. Choosing among the alternative penalties. 5. Application of the penalty. 6. Follow-up of the case. Separations may be voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary separation or resignations should proceed according to established personnel procedures. There should be advance notice. The personnel director or his assistants conduct exit interviews, finding out the reason for the employees voluntarily leaving the company and formulating plans on how waste of valuable personnel hiring and training expenses could be minimized or avoided. Attention is also given to clearances, payroll termination, and separation benefits, if any. Involuntary separation may be for economic reasons, disciplinary reason, incompetence, or retirement. Economic reasons such as declining sales, loss of markets, reduce production, increasing costs, depression, and the like, bring out the need for a policy on who among employees should go out first, benefits they may be entitled to, and other services. Separation or dismissal as a disciplinary action calls for personnel policies whereby the separated employee knows fully and has had the opportunity to discuss the reason for the dismissal. There should be a careful analysis of facts and an appellate or review procedure. Separation for incompetence are basically a fault of poor recruitment, selection, and training. This kind of involuntary separation should be rare or non existent in a company with sound personnel policies and procedures. Retirement is involuntary in the sense that even if an employee can still work or wants to work, policy declares that he should leave. The personnel department or staff should help the retired attend to his financial preparation, such as retirement pay, social security benefits, and the like. Medical examination and psychological preparation may also be given by the company. And that could be all. Thank you.